Good morning, everyone. I am Mrs. Payal Lal from KV FRI Dehradun, and today I'll be explaining the poem A Thing of Beauty, written by the renowned poet John Keats. Let me first introduce you to the author. John Keats, born 31st October 1795 and died 23rd Feb 1821, was an English romantic poet. Although trained to be a surgeon, he decided to devote himself completely to poetry. In fact, by the end of the 19th century, he had become one of the most beloved of all English poets. The poetry of Keats is characterized by sensual imagery, most notably in the series of odes. His notable odes are To Autumn, Ode to a Nightingale, On First Looking into Chapman's Homer, Ode on a Grecian Urn. A Thing of Beauty is an excerpt from Keats' first epic poem, Endymion, a poetic romance. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a young shepherd and a poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out, and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. Keats loved beauty to the extent that he almost worshipped it. In fact, he was a worshipper of nature, and this excerpt voices the poet's eternal love for beauty. The very opening line of the poem, A thing of beauty is a joy forever, openly recites the very theme of the poem. Any beautiful object is always treasured in a mind because it provides us eternal and everlasting joy. The happiness that anything beautiful provides never fades into nothingness, but in fact multiplies manifold whenever it returns to our mind. Let me first tell you about the difficult words in the poem, where you have a bar, which implies a pleasant and shady place, nothingness, an insignificant or worthless thing, spite, malice, ill will, usually which human beings bear to each other, despondence, disappointment, or dejection. Pall. It refers to a covering, shroud, or cloth spread over a coffin. Dark refers to gloomy, sad. Rills are the small streams. Covert is a shelter or covering. Brake refers to a dense overgrowth of ferns or other bush. Moving on to stanza 1, where Keats tells, A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing, which implies the poet speaks of the permanent nature of beautiful things, which give us eternal joy. Their loveliness keeps on increasing, and it never fades away. The everlasting beautiful sight give us peace, just like a quiet shady place gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams. It gives us a blissful sleep full of pleasant dreams and provides all of us tranquility and mental peace. In the second stanza, the poet says, Therefore on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and overdarkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. What he wants to tell is that when we wake up in the morning after a sound sleep, all the beautiful memories of our sweet dreams help us to strengthen a bond with earth. And that is the reason why the poet feels every morning we prepare a wreath of flowers that bind us to the earth most strongly. Hopelessness, sadness, and lack of noble ways are a part of human life. Life is full of trials and tribulations, and in today's scenario, man has in fact become selfish and self centered. We harm ourselves by following unhealthy and wicked paths. But in spite of all this, some wonderful sights of nature help us to shed these sad and grim thoughts. These sights of nature remove the veil of gloom, bringing about hope and optimism in our lives. Next, in stanza 3, he says, such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert made against the hot season the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, where the poet appreciates the simplicity and serenity of beauty through the image of the sun, the moon, the trees, the sheep, the daffodils, the green pastures, the streams, and a fair bloom of musk roses. Sheep and lamb are envisioned as symbols of innocence and serene beauty. Here, Keats talks about Jesus Christ, who is a shepherd and is surrounded by his flock of sheep, his followers. The beauty of nature is at its best in the lush green surroundings of meadows and pastures, which provide support to all plants and animals. It is in this green world that all living creatures find true happiness and joy. And in the concluding stanza, Keats talks about, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring unto us from the heavens brink. The poet adds on that the mighty dead can also be considered as things of beauty, as the inspirational deeds of martyrs are not only splendid, but continue to live as guides, enhancing the quality of life. Beauty, according to Keats, is a perennial source of motivation and inspiration. He, in fact, considers it as an endless fountain from which mankind can drink the elixir of life. This beauty is a perennial source of joy which is eternal and everlasting. Keats has made use of several poetic devices where he has used metaphors, the comparisons such as above a quiet, sweet dreams, wreathing a flowery band, ball, endless fountain of immortal drink. He has made use of alliterations where you have the repetition of consonant sounds such as noble natures, cooling covert, band to bind. Keats has made a sensuous use of imagery such as flowery bands, shady boon, daffodils in given worlds, clear rills, cooling covert, grandeur of the dooms, endless fountain of eternal drink. Simple sheep, which refers to mankind as Christ as a shepherd, has been used as the symbolism in the poem. You have the hyperbole, that is an exaggeration, such as an endless fountain. So we have seen that how Keats has really described beauty in all its manifestations, and indeed, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Thank you. Have a nice day.